everyone, welcome back to the Wonder of Ivy YouTube channel. This week I'm going into my review mode and I will be reviewing the anime Demon Slayer. Now, I had heard about Demon Slayer for the last month and a half and I just kept seeing it everywhere. People were talking about it on Reddit, my friends were talking about it on Twitter, my husband was watching it, and everybody was like, yo Lisa, like, you need to get on it and watch this. So I was like, you know what? I had some time because I went on vacation, and what I love doing most when I go on vacation is binging anime. So I decided to watch Demon Slayer. Just a warning, this video will contain Demon Slayer spoilers. I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum. However, just know that if you haven't watched Demon Slayer to full completion, the first season, I highly recommend that you stop watching this video, go watch it for yourself, and then come back and talk to me about what you thought, and then we can discuss our feelings together. Demon Slayer premiered, I think, spring 2019. It's definitely one of the newer animes this year, but it may have been a while since you watched Demon Slayer. So I'm going to give you a quick synopsis, and this is from Wikipedia. So Tanjiro Kamado is a kind-hearted and intelligent boy who lives with his family, making money by selling charcoal. Everything changes when his family is attacked and slaughtered by demons. Tanjiro and his sister Nezuko are the sole survivors of the incident. Nezuko has now become a demon, but is still surprisingly showing signs of human emotion and thought. Tanjiro becomes a demon slayer to help his sister turn human again and to prevent the same tragedy that happened to him and his sisters from happening to others. So that was the quick synopsis of Demon Slayer. Now, when I first watched Demon Slayer, I did not look at the synopsis. I was like, you know what, let me just jump right in. I didn't read nothing, and sometimes I feel like that works better, not all the time, because you don't want to waste your time watching something if it doesn't even seem like it's gonna be likely to you, but for me, because I had so many hype people reviewing it and talking about it, I was like, you know what, let me just jump in. I'll figure it out as I go along. Initially, as I was watching Demon Slayer, I started watching it when I was on an airplane on my way to Miami. I had downloaded, I think, 4 episodes. I was like, okay, I think this is enough to hold me over till I get to Miami. And as I was watching the first episode, some of the vibes were just giving me like Inuyasha vibes, based on everybody talking about demons, the way the town setting was going, just the whole scenery, you know, based on everybody's clothing, the era that it looked like it was definitely giving me Inuyasha vibes. So first off, when I'm going into it, seeing the first episode, before the tragedy happened, the minute that man was like, oh, you should stay over tonight, I was like, this is where you should have just gone home. But maybe he wouldn't have survived if he went home. But at first I was like, okay, this is gonna be very predictable, and I kind of thought it was gonna be very villain of the weeky, similar to like how Sailor Moon was, and like filler episodes of Inuyasha and stuff, where it's like, oh my god, here's this new villain, every episode is gonna be a challenge, and every episode we're gonna be fighting a specific villain. So with that in mind, as it started going on, I was like, you know, episode by episode, I'm like, whoa, I am definitely wrong in this, and I was very happy to be wrong. Not that villain of the week type of stuff isn't good, because I feel like anime like that definitely has a time and a place, and for some animes it works very well. But like I said, there was so much hype surrounding this. I'm like, if it's really villain of the week and everybody's hype about it, like, I'm not feeling it. But I was definitely surprised. Now, in general, I'm a huge sucker for like family dynamics and, oh, we got to do this for the family, my sibling love, that type of stuff I appreciated. So I was immediately like hooked into it, where Tanjiro kept looking out for Nezuko, and it was like, nah, you're not gonna fuck with my sister. I was like, oh, okay, this is what we doing. So that was very heartwarming to watch, and I definitely appreciated that. So for me, this storyline, not in any context at all, just the way of development, reminded me of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where in your mind you're like, okay, I think it's gonna be this, and then something happens and you're like, okay, but are we also gonna talk about this? And it was like, as each episode progressed, I kept thinking like, okay, so this has nothing, like what I initially thought the plot was to now, like they incorporated so many other elements that I absolutely was like hooked when I realized that it was like, oh, it's not just gonna be this one journey, it's gonna be all of these other elements combined when it comes to the history of demons and all that stuff. That I really appreciated with that. And I feel like every episode just added a new layer. Even regular TV shows or books like overplay, like, oh, something secret is coming, or like, y'all don't even know what we about to do. Sometimes I feel like shows and animes get full of themselves and way too cocky about it, and then by the time there's like this big reveal, you don't even feel it anymore because the show overplayed that. I didn't feel that way at all with this. I feel like the way the pacing was very good, and the way the reveals weren't too overdone to the point where you're like, all right, like let's get it, let's find out what this big reveal is gonna be. So I appreciated that a lot. I feel like in terms of originality, and also if you see me looking down, I wrote all my notes on my phone, so that's what I'm doing as well. I'm gonna be like a teleprompter. But yeah, in terms of originality, the story itself and some of the themes weren't too original, and that's okay. I mean, it's demons, like how much, you know, it's been done often. But what really reminded me, like the demon, the way that like the demon guy could turn others into demons, that kind of reminded me of vampires, because a lot of vampire shows end up having this thing where somebody is turning regular humans into vampires, and sometimes you can turn them back, or the main goal is to find a way to turn them back to human. And that was something that the show that it kind of reminded me of immediately was True Blood on HBO. I used to love that show, and that it was kind of giving me that type of vibes. We're like, oh, we got to find out what's happening, and you know, who's doing this, and is there a cure for this? That's kind of what it reminded me of, with the whole, you know, that with the vampire, like with the themes of turning into people, into demons, as well as the fact that with the blood of I should have got this guy's name. I'll put a picture of him here and his name. Like his blood had a certain effect on other demons. I thought that was super cool, because it's like an element that you don't see too often, but when it's done really well, it's very exciting to see that happen. Well, in terms of the animation, I think the animation was one of the big reasons personally that I got into it, because I'm very picky with my anime styles. I don't like a lot of the new drawn anime styles that I feel like immediately you don't recognize that it's anime. But with Demon Slayer, the, I guess, basic concept art, it's very clear to see that it's anime. It's drawn very traditionally, but then the fight scenes, when they just went above and beyond. I forget what the technique is called, that specific technique that they did when it, like the way that they animated the fight scenes, which I don't know if it's, I don't think it's 3D, but it's definitely different. That style of animation was amazing. I personally hadn't seen it before in anime. I think I've definitely seen it in like movies, animated movies, but it was really good. And I really liked that it wasn't overly done, like every single thing wasn't done in that anime style. I feel like when it finally was, you know, the fight scenes and the certain demon slayers had their certain elements, when those elements would come out and they would do it in that animation style, it was definitely refreshing, and it didn't feel overdone. It felt perfectly on time. Had they done that every single scene, every single sequence, I think it would have gotten very tiring. But I really appreciated that. I also enjoyed that the fighters, the demon slayers, had their different elements. Like Tanjiro was water, you had thunder, you had the beast, like all the breathing techniques. I thought that was super unique, in the sense that it's not something that you see, well, you do see it, but the way that it was done this time was very unique, where it was done with the breathing technique as well as the sword movements, like the sword, you moving the sword in combination with the breathing techniques. That really made it stand out and was something that I felt was original to Demon Slayer. When it comes to the characters obviously make the anime, and it is the best part of the anime. I thought the characters and the development was really well done. You got to see multiple sides of the same characters, and everyone was likable enough in the beginning, and if you didn't like them, you kind of saw the backstory, and even like they had them demons having backstories even in death, which I thought was very interesting that they did that. But it was very cool too, because I think the one point that Demon Slayer is trying to drive is that even if they are demons, they at some point were human and still have a humanity aspect to them, even though a lot of humans and Demon Slayers don't view them like that due to the horrendous crimes that they have committed. So I really like that aspect, because it's like, okay, yeah, they're evil, but there was also something else to them before they became evil. And if they're evil, it's like, well, this is kind of what led to that happening to them. So that I really appreciated. I feel like it was enough to reel you in. There were definitely some typical tropes, especially with Zenitsu, him being a crybaby and then like super strong when he fell asleep. Like that was kind of like a typical, like, you know, the character you least expect is still gonna be strong. I thought that was cool too. And Inosuke being a hothead, like, even though he was, you know, oh, I'm a fighter, I don't really care about this stuff, he still joins the crew and kind of goes together with them and still has his vulnerable moments. Like, those are typical anime tropes, but the way the Demon Slayer did it looks good. It wasn't overly done. Tanjiro, obviously the main character, he works hard, he has a good heart, he sees situations from a different point of view. That's typical, that what you would expect. Oh, don't come for my family because I'm gonna come for you. That's nothing new or innovative. The only thing that I wish there had been was Nezuko, and I feel like a bit of more of her development, and I'm hoping season 2 brings the backside, because like it was important when she was sleeping, and she was sleeping those 2 years for during Tanjiro's training, which makes sense. But I feel like there's more of her, and you got brief, like I feel like the clips of her were way too brief. The moments where you see her humanity or her thinking was just like little to none, and I feel like that was a missed opportunity. Or if that's something they're going to develop more in season 2 or in the movie, where it's just like, okay, like you thought you knew Nezuko, but now here's her whole backstory. And it's not her backstory because, you know, the family and stuff, but more into her mind, what's going on when she's sleeping. I think those are good things to explore there. And the last thing that I want to talk about in this review before I give my overall, it was just episode 19. So episode 19, before I even saw the anime, everyone was like, oh my god, you need to watch episode 19. Episode 19 is crazy. All this stuff is gonna happen. And I was like, all right, like it's building up. Every episode I'm getting closer and closer, and I'm like, damn, like episode 19, like, woo, I'm not ready. It's gonna be crazy. And then I saw episode 19 and I was like, okay, I'm gonna insert a clip of my reacting to episode 19 live. And I think the issue with me was episode 19. Don't get me wrong, it is fucking fantastic, it is amazing, but I heard so much hype around it, and everybody was hyping it up to the point that when I actually saw it, I just didn't think like that was the peak. I was like, okay, there's definitely gonna be more. All right, what's next? What's happening? Okay, cool. Like, I just kept, you know, waiting for this, like, holy shit, like, what the fuck, what's happening? Having a field day over there, and it never got there. So not to say that it wasn't good. I appreciate that development. I thought it was an amazing fight scene and a really great way to end the episode, like such a climax. But again, I think because I was expecting like so much more, like I psyched myself out of it. But you know, it made for a good reaction video. I don't know, I thought people were just thinking that I was gonna be like, oh my god. That's not how I've been acting so far with this show. Overall, Demon Slayer, definitely I'm glad that I kind of went in, except for episode 19. I went in with little expectations and little knowledge. I feel like that made it so much better for me to actually enjoy it, and every development, like, I wasn't spoiled to anything. Everything made sense and everything was like so good to kind of learn and discover on its own. I feel sometimes when you watch stuff or you know too much, like, you don't have that new factor to it anymore. Like, there's certain series I wish I could erase and watch again because they were so good, and that's kind of how I feel about Demon Slayer. Like, it really it was so good, and I think, you know, the hype is very, very well worth it. I don't think it's overhyped in my opinion. I think it has just the right amount of hype, and it just keeps getting better. I know recently the live action play in Japan is going to take place, and the manga sales are about to beat the One Piece, which holds like the record over there for #1 in manga sales. So Demon Slayer is definitely getting up there. Like I said, overall I loved it. It's definitely something that I'm into, that I'm waiting for the next season to come, because sometimes you watch stuff and you're like, okay, this was good, but I'm not like, oh my god, when's the next one? Like, with this, I am definitely waiting for the movie, for the next season. I'm debating starting the manga. I'm not sure yet, and that's just because what I usually do when I like watch stuff is like, I like watching an anime that's already done so I can watch it in completion, and then I'll read the manga, because obviously there's stuff in the manga that couldn't be put in the anime. But with Demon Slayer, it's still like, there's still more to come, so I don't want to start reading it and then kind of pass what's happening, although I know some people are doing that because they cannot wait for season 2, and that's cool too. And that is that for my Demon Slayer review video. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. I was like, let me do this off camera. I should do it on camera. Please be sure to give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment below if you have watched Demon Slayer. What was your favorite part? What was your favorite scene? Who's the character that you want more of? What kind of developments are you hoping to see? Are you shipping anybody yet? Are you not shipping anybody yet? Do you think some ships are dumb? Please be sure to comment and let me know. And stay tuned for my next anime review, which is going to be My Hero Academia. I'll see you guys on my next video.